Something is shifting behind the silence, and this younger adult is not only thinking about you anymore, they may be preparing to move closer, speak, and prove that what they feel is deeper than a passing attraction. Teresa is here. Only take what resonates, because this message is for someone who senses that this connection does not fit into an ordinary explanation. The first card is the Chariot reversed. As psychological symbolism, this card speaks about powerful desire held back by doubt. It reflects someone who knows where their heart wants to go, yet keeps stopping themselves before taking the next step. Their feelings may be moving quickly, but their courage has not caught up yet. That is why their energy can seem intense one moment and quiet the next. This younger person may have rehearsed a conversation with you more than once. They may imagine telling you that the age difference does not frighten them. What frightens them is the possibility that you will never believe they are serious. They see your maturity. They notice how you carry pain without turning cold. They notice your calmness, your standards, and the way your presence makes them feel both safe and awake. You do not feel ordinary to them. You feel like someone who could change the direction of their life. But the Chariot reversed reveals the struggle beneath that attraction. Part of them wants to rush toward you. Another part worries about timing, judgment, rejection, and whether they can meet you at your emotional level. So they hesitate. They watch for an opening. They try to understand whether your heart is available before making a move they cannot take back. And this is the first secret. Their silence may not mean a lack of interest. It may mean they are trying to gain control over emotions that have become stronger than expected. They are not planning to steal your freedom. They may be planning to steal you away from the belief that love has passed you by. But what they are preparing to do next becomes even more revealing. The next card is the Seven of Pentacles reversed. As psychological symbolism, this card speaks about someone who has waited, watched, and questioned whether waiting any longer will change the outcome. They may be reaching a point where silence no longer feels protective. It feels like a risk of its own. This younger person may be preparing to tell you that their feelings did not disappear with time. They grew. They may have tried to reduce this connection to attraction. They may have told themselves that distance, timing, or logic would eventually make it easier to let go. But for someone here, the opposite happened. The more they attempted to control what they felt, the more clearly they understood it. The Seven of Pentacles reversed can reflect impatience, but not necessarily recklessness. They may be tired of standing at a distance and hoping you somehow understand what they have never clearly said. They could be drafting a message, deleting it, and writing it again. They may imagine your expression as you read their words. They may hear your possible response before they ever press send. Externally, they may still appear calm. Internally, they are choosing every sentence carefully. They do not want to sound as though they are caught in a fantasy. They do not want you to think they are approaching you because of curiosity, loneliness, or physical attraction alone. They may be trying to find words that sound steady enough to carry the weight of what they feel, and that is why the conversation has remained inside them. They are not only afraid of rejection, they are afraid of expressing something sincere in a way that makes it sound temporary. For someone here, they may be waiting for privacy. A moment without other people, pressure, or distraction. They want an opening where neither of you has to perform or pretend not to care. The Chariot reversed showed the hesitation, but the Seven of Pentacles reversed shows that hesitation becoming harder to maintain. They may be realizing that waiting does not guarantee safety. Sometimes waiting only allows another person to believe there was never anything there. So their energy is beginning to change. They may speak sooner than you expect. But this preparation may not involve words alone. Because before they approach you, they could be considering a practical change that would make it much easier for them to become part of your everyday life. The next card is the Knight of Wands. As psychological symbolism, this card speaks about movement driven by desire. It reflects someone who is no longer satisfied with imagining what could happen. They are beginning to think about what they would need to change in order to bring themselves closer to it. And for someone here, that change may be practical. This younger person may be looking at distance differently now. What once seemed like a reason to remain cautious may be becoming a problem they want to solve. They could be considering more visits, a change in schedule, a different work arrangement, or reasons to spend more time in the places where your life naturally unfolds. This does not guarantee a relocation, but it may show that their thoughts have moved beyond fantasy. The question inside them may no longer be, should I feel this? It may be, how could I make this real? The Knight of Wands can move quickly, but this person may know that speed alone will not impress you. They may understand that if they approach your life without a plan, it could confirm the very fear they are trying to overcome. That you will see them as impulsive. So they may be calculating more than they reveal. Money, work, responsibilities, the reaction of family or friends, whether moving closer would support their life or disrupt it. And most importantly, whether you would actually want them there. They may be searching for a natural way to become more present without making you feel pressured. They could begin appearing more consistently, asking more questions about your routine, or mentioning opportunities that would place them nearer to you. Externally, it may look casual, but internally, they may be testing whether a shared life could exist beyond private feelings and brief moments. They want to prove that their age does not prevent them from thinking seriously. They may want you to see that they are capable of planning, adjusting, and building something rather than simply chasing an emotion. The Knight of Wands shows that the desire to move is real. But desire is not the final obstacle, because the distance between you may be easier to cross than the fear they have not admitted. The fear that even if they come closer, you may still never see them as someone who could stay. The next card is the Six of Swords reversed. As psychological symbolism, this card speaks about someone who wants to move beyond fear but keeps returning to the same private doubt. They may know what they feel, yet still struggle to believe that you will understand it in the way they intend. This younger person may not be afraid of the age difference itself. They may be afraid of what you believe the age difference says about them. They could worry that you see their feelings as fascination, rebellion, loneliness, a temporary attraction that will disappear once reality becomes more demanding, and that possibility may affect them more deeply than they admit. The Six of Swords reversed can reflect a mind that repeatedly revisits an unresolved concern. So, even after a warm conversation or a meaningful moment with you, they may pull back and examine everything. Did they reveal too much? Did you notice? Did you assume they were only being playful? This may explain why they sometimes become unusually controlled around you. They could hide jealousy when someone else receives your attention. They may act casual after showing tenderness. They may create distance immediately after a moment that felt too honest. Not because the feeling disappeared, because the feeling became visible. For someone here, they may also be comparing their life with yours, their current stability, their experience, their resources, their ability to offer something that feels equal rather than dependent. This does not mean they see themselves as less than you. It means they may be trying to understand whether they are prepared for the kind of connection they believe you deserve. You may carry your own vulnerability too. You may fear becoming emotionally invested only to discover that they were sincere for a moment but not prepared for what comes after it. So both of you may be protecting different wounds. You protect yourself from inconsistency. They protect themselves from being dismissed before they have the chance to prove consistency. That is why the silence has felt so complicated. It is not empty. It may be filled with two people trying not to misread each other. But the Six of Swords reverse suggests this emotional distance cannot remain comfortable forever, because something may have recently changed. You may have become quieter, less available, more willing to move forward without them. And when they realize you may not wait inside this uncertainty, remaining silent could become more frightening than finally telling you the truth. The next card is the Page of Pentacles. As psychological symbolism, this card speaks about a realization becoming practical. It reflects someone who is beginning to understand that feelings cannot remain meaningful only inside the imagination. At some point, they must be supported by effort. And continued silence may now feel too costly. This younger person may have noticed a change in you. You could be less available than before, less willing to offer reassurance without receiving clarity. You may still care, but you are no longer standing in the same emotional place waiting for them to decide. They can feel that difference. Perhaps someone else has shown interest in you. Perhaps you have spoken about your future in a way that did not include them. Or perhaps you simply stopped giving them the signs that once made silence feel safe. The Page of Pentacles does not usually respond through dramatic emotion. It responds by paying attention. They may be asking themselves whether they misunderstood the time they had, whether your patience has limits, whether waiting until they feel completely prepared could mean approaching you after your heart has already closed. That realization may be unsettling, not because they believe they own your attention, because they are beginning to understand that your life will continue with or without their courage. This is the turning point. They may have believed there would always be another opportunity, another private moment, another conversation where they could almost reveal the truth and then retreat. But now they may be wondering how many openings remain. The Page of Pentacles can represent the desire to begin correctly, even when someone does not have every answer. So this shift may not make them reckless. It may make them more honest about what perfection has been hiding. fear. They may never feel fully ready. They may never find words that remove every risk. And you may never give them absolute proof that they will be accepted before they speak. So they are beginning to consider a smaller, steadier first step. Something that shows intention without demanding an immediate answer from you. A sincere question. A consistent offer. A practical reason to see you again. Their next move may be much quieter than a dramatic confession, but it could carry something more serious. The beginning of an effort they are prepared to repeat. The next card is the Five of Pentacles. As psychological symbolism, this card speaks about the fear of being left outside something meaningful. It can reflect someone who worries that no matter how deeply they feel, they may never be allowed close enough to prove it, and that fear may change how they approach you. This younger person may be realizing that words alone will not be enough. They may know you have heard promises before. You may have watched people speak beautifully, then disappear when effort became inconvenient. So they may choose a different language. Consistency. They may begin following through on small things they once treated casually. They could remember details you mentioned weeks ago. They may create time instead of only contacting you when it suits them. They may become more honest about where they are, what they want, and what they are still trying to improve. The Five of Pentacles can reveal insecurity, but it can also reveal who remains present when something is difficult. They may notice when you are tired. They may notice when your energy changes. They may notice what you need without assuming they have the right to take over. And instead of making a dramatic promise, they could begin showing you that they are willing to be dependable. For someone here, they may be working quietly on their own stability, saving money, becoming more disciplined, creating a clearer direction for their life. Not because they believe they must become someone else to deserve you, but because they want their actions to match the seriousness of their feelings. You may not recognize this immediately. You may be waiting for a confession while they are trying to build evidence, a kept promise, a respectful boundary, a repeated effort, a decision that considers your future as well as their own. Still, one gesture does not prove everything. Effort must continue. Trust must be built by both people, and no connection becomes secure simply because someone wants it badly. But the Five of Pentacles suggests this person may be tired of standing emotionally outside your life. They may be preparing to show that they can remain present through uncertainty, not only through excitement, and one of their next actions could reveal more than they intended. Because when something threatens to take you farther away, their careful control may finally break. The next card is the Hierophant. As psychological symbolism, this card speaks about seriousness becoming visible through values, commitment, and the desire to build something that can be respected. It can reveal someone whose feelings are no longer fitting comfortably inside casual behavior, so the truth may escape through a serious question. This younger person may suddenly ask what you want from the next chapter of your life. They may want to know whether you would ever move, begin again, or allow someone to share the life you have already worked hard to create. The question may sound general, but it may not be general at all. They could become unusually attentive when you mention leaving, traveling, changing your routine, or making plans that would take you farther away. They may offer help more quickly than expected. They may speak about the future using words like we before realizing what they have revealed. And then they may become quiet because the hierophant can expose what someone considers sacred even when they are trying to appear detached. For someone here, this person may not only want access to your attention, they may want a meaningful place in your life, a role that is acknowledged, a connection that does not have to hide behind uncertainty forever. They may reveal this through protectiveness, but not possession. They could ask whether you arrived safely. They may remember an important date. They may become concerned when you carry everything alone, or they may admit, almost unexpectedly, that they have been thinking about what the two of you could become. This matters because their future is beginning to include you, not as a fantasy, as a consideration. Still, observe what follows. One emotional admission is not the same as sustained intention. A serious question must eventually be supported by serious behavior. Let their consistency confirm what one vulnerable moment only suggests. The Chariot reversed showed desire being restrained. The Seven of Pentacles reversed showed waiting becoming unbearable. And now the Hierophant shows that what is emerging may be deeper than attraction. They may be considering whether this connection could become something stable, honest, and recognized. But that creates a choice they can no longer avoid. They must decide whether to protect the feeling by keeping it private or prove it by accepting the risk of being fully known. And their next decision will reveal whether this is courage becoming action or longing that still prefers the safety of silence. The next card is the Eight of Swords. As psychological symbolism, this card speaks about a person who has mistaken fear for impossibility. The path may be open, but their thoughts keep telling them that one wrong move could destroy everything. And now they may be questioning that belief. This younger person may recognize that their silence has protected them from rejection, but it has also left you carrying the confusion. They may know that their mixed signals have made it difficult for you to understand whether they were serious, uncertain, or simply enjoying the attention. That awareness brings responsibility. They may need to admit that they withdrew when the connection became real, that they acted casual after moments of closeness, that they allowed fear of judgment, practical instability, or other people's opinions to speak louder than their own intentions. The Eight of Swords reveals the stories someone tells themselves to avoid a difficult choice. Maybe the timing is wrong. Maybe the age difference is too complicated. Maybe you would never understand. Maybe silence is kinder. But for someone here, those explanations may no longer feel completely honest. Because the true test is not whether they feel deeply, it is whether they can speak clearly. They may be approaching a moment when they must stop asking you to interpret what they refuse to say. They may need to acknowledge the age difference directly without pretending it does not create real questions. They may need to explain what they want, what they can offer now, and what they are willing to build over time. And they must allow you to choose freely. They cannot ask you to trust them simply because the feeling is intense. They may have to accept that you could need time, evidence, or boundaries. You may even decide that emotion is not enough. That is the risk of being fully known. But it is also the only way this connection can become honest. The Eight of Swords suggests that the final barrier may not be distance, age, or timing. It may be their willingness to take accountability for the uncertainty they helped create. So a direct conversation could be approaching. Not a performance, not a promise designed to overwhelm you, a moment where they ask to be judged by what they are prepared to do next. And what they most need you to understand is something they may have struggled to admit even to themselves. The next card is the Emperor reversed. As psychological symbolism, this card speaks about releasing control and questioning old ideas about strength. It can reflect someone who is beginning to understand that love is not proven by appearing fearless. It is proven by becoming honest enough to be vulnerable. And this may be what they most need you to understand. Their attraction may not be based only on your appearance, the mystery around you, or the fact that the age difference makes this connection feel unusual. You may represent the person they want to become, not because they expect you to rescue them, because your presence may be inspiring them to take greater responsibility for their own life. They see how you protect your peace. They notice that you do not confuse attention with devotion. They notice that you have learned to recognize the difference between someone who desires you and someone who is prepared to stand beside you. And they may want to become the second person. The Emperor reversed can reveal someone letting go of the need to control how they are perceived. This younger adult may have tried to appear detached, confident, or unaffected because they believed vulnerability would make them seem less mature. But now they may realize the opposite is true. Maturity is not pretending the feeling does not matter. It is choosing what to do with it. They may want you to see them as someone capable of choosing you consciously. Someone who can build, adjust, communicate, and remain present after the excitement becomes ordinary. They do not want possession. They want partnership. They may not be asking you to carry their future. They may be preparing to show that they can create one beside you. Still, intensity is not evidence by itself. A meaningful connection requires honesty, reciprocity, timing, respect. It requires both people to remain free enough to say yes without pressure and no without punishment. So let their movement mean something. Let their words become clear. And let their actions prove whether what they feel can survive outside imagination. The age difference may change how carefully this connection must be handled, but it does not automatically determine its depth. Now, the question returns to you. Do you open the door enough to observe what they do next? Do you wait without putting your life on hold? Or do you release expectation and allow their courage or continued silence to give you the answer? The final card is the Three of Swords reversed. As psychological symbolism, this card speaks about pain beginning to loosen its hold. It reflects someone who is no longer willing to let an old disappointment decide what love is allowed to become. And this is where your answer may be found. You do not need to chase this younger person. You do not need to convince them that the connection is real. You do not need to rescue them from fear, prepare their words for them, or place your life on pause while they decide whether they are ready. You can remain open, but you can also remain grounded. The Three of Swords reversed suggests that part of your journey may be learning to observe without abandoning yourself. You may sense what they feel. You may recognize the tension beneath their silence, but intuition can reveal emotional movement without guaranteeing what someone will choose to do with it. So let consistency answer what chemistry cannot. Let their effort answer what silence has complicated. Let time show whether they are moving toward you with responsibility or only returning when the feeling becomes difficult to ignore. This younger adult may truly be considering how to become closer. They may be preparing to speak more clearly. They may want to prove that what they feel can survive judgment, distance, and the difference in your stages of life. But the deeper change is not simply that they want you. It is that they may be learning love must become a choice they can stand behind. A responsible choice, one that respects your freedom, your standards, and the life you have already built. Only take what resonates here. This message is not asking you to believe in a promise that has not been made. It is asking you to notice what becomes visible without forcing an outcome. You are allowed to hope without waiting helplessly. You are allowed to care without lowering your boundaries, and you are allowed to let their actions meet you where your intuition has already been. Love has not passed you by, and age alone does not decide who is capable of emotional depth. But genuine intention cannot remain hidden forever. Sooner or later, it must become visible through honesty, consistency, and the courage to stay.